Hello students, today we are going to see the next topic in the chapter called electromagnetic induction, and that concept is the concept of self-induction or self-inductance. Okay. Now let us try to understand what is happening in electromagnetic induction. In electromagnetic induction, this is what is happening. That the moment there is a change in flux, there will be an induced EMF, and then this induced EMF will try to create a current which will try to oppose the cause of change. Correct? This is what is happening in a electromagnetic induction. Now consider this. Think of this equation. Let us call it as solenoid. Now this is what we call as solenoid. Okay. Say that I have an arrangement through which I can create some current in the circuit. Okay, and we can also put a switch over here. Right now there is no current flowing in this solenoid. Okay, and we know one thing, that in solenoid, if a current is flowing, it develops a field. Okay, if you try to recall that concept, that in solenoid, when a current I is flowing inside a solenoid, then the field developed inside the solenoid is mu naught times of Ni. Okay, and that field is in this direction, depending upon the direction of current. So if it is going like this, field will be in this direction. Okay, so that is going to be getting set up over here. Also, think about this, because the moment you arrive this, you should you should have a click in your mind that okay, this is the main concept over here. So that is where I am trying to bring it to you, this previous concept over here. So first of all, solenoid will have a magnetic field. Okay. Also, then let us say if I consider that a field is passing through a given area, we know that flux is equal to field multiplied by area, and it has more number of turns, then I have to multiply with n. So it becomes phi is equal to number of turns multiplied by field multiplied by area. Okay. So far so good. Right now, what is the flux in this case when the switch is open? When the switch is open, right now there is no flux. Remember, flux is 0 before we switch on the circuit. Okay. The moment I connect this, immediately a current will get developed. Immediately there will be a field developed. Immediately there will be a flux developed. So what has happened now? From zero flux, before the switch gets closed, from zero flux, suddenly a flux is created. Okay, in that fraction of time, just at the time of switching it on. So the moment you switch it on, immediately a flux gets developed. That means flux has changed. So if the flux has changed, then what it has caused? It has caused a induced EMF. Okay, it will now the induced EMF will try to oppose the cause. Okay, so we are going to see that thing over here now. So if I consider this is to be the main current I which is flowing in the circuit in this direction, then the induced EMF, which will happen for a very short interval of time, just at the beginning of the switching on. Just the moment you switch it on, at that time only it will happen. So if this is the main current, my induced current will be in such a way that it will try to oppose the cause of this main current. So this is my induced current. This is my induced current. Okay. And this is only at the moment of switching it on. I repeat this again and again and again. Once you have switched on, it develops a current, correct? Now, as you see, the current is constant in the circuit. If the current remains constant in the circuit, there is no change in magnetic field. There is no change in flux. Okay? So when this is getting developed, this is getting developed just at the time when you switch it on. Are you getting the point? I will repeat this again. This is getting developed just at the time when you are switching it on. Okay? From zero flux to some flux. Change is there. So it's just like this. From 0, let us say it attains a number of 2, and then it remains 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So a change is happening here, 0 to 2. Okay. So this is where, and after that, there is no concept of induced current, no concept of induced EMF. So this happens just at the time of switching on the circuit. So it opposes the cause. Now, second thing. This will also happen if you change the rheostat now. What is the function of the rheostat? To change the resistance. So if you change the resistance over here, you are changing the current. If you are changing the current, you are changing the flux. You are changing the magnetic field. And if you are changing the magnetic field, you are changing the flux. And that will again cause an induced EMF, and that will also try to oppose the cause. Okay. Okay. So we just saw that this happens only when you are switching it on. Now, do you think this is going to happen when you are switching it off? Okay. Now, let us say that you have a current developed. So it's just like this. Think about this. So suppose you had an initial EMF of or initial flux of 0, and then when you switch it on, the moment you switch it on, you are getting let us say a flux of 2. I'm just taking a random number, and then that 2 remains 2, so on. And now you are going to switch it off. So the moment you switch it off, it again becomes from 2 to 0. The flux. This is all flux. What is flux? Flux means current. This is how the flux is developed. You switch it on, it creates a current. Then the current creates a magnetic field. Then that magnetic field creates a flux. Correct? So this is what happens when you switch it on. So when you switch it on from 0 to 2, then 2. So there is no induced EMF here because there is no change in flux. Now what about when you are switching it off? Again you will get a induced EMF. Now what will happen? In the beginning, when the current was trying to increase, induced EMF was trying to oppose the cause. Now at the end, when you are switching it off, when the current is, so remember the current was flowing like this. So when this current is flowing in this direction and you are switching it off, you are trying to decrease the current in this direction. Am I right? So induced EMF will act in the same direction. So I just give you this concept over here. Consider that this is my coil. This is my main current and this is my induced current. This is at the time of switching on. Now, if this is my coil, this was the main current, there is a switch over here. Okay, so this is a switch over here, and I am going to switch it off. Okay, so I am going to switch it off. So when I am going to switch it off, the induced current will be in the, it will try to oppose the cause. Remember, the cause is trying to decrease the main current because we are switching it off. So this is your switching off at the time of switching it off. Okay. Is the logic clear to you? And this function of resistance is the same purpose. You can change the current in between them and you can just see the same effect happening. Suppose I was having 2 and I changed the rheostat, I made it 1. That means we are decreasing it. Okay, so induced EMF will be developed in the same direction of, so induced current will develop in the same direction of main current. So every time when you increase the current, okay, your induced current will be in the direction opposite to main current. And at any time if you try to decrease the current, your induced current will be in the same direction of the main current. Okay, so that's the whole logic over here. Now some expressions which we need to know. The flux which is going to get linked in these coils, the flux which is going to get linked in this coil will be directly proportional to the current flowing in the main circuit, the main current. Why? Because I told you it is the main current which we are going to provide, which you are going to provide will create a field in the solenoid whose formula is mu naught times of Ni, that will create a flux which will be equal to field multiplied by area. Remember, flux contains field contains I, and I is this. So I can say that the flux is directly proportional to I. Okay? To remove the proportionality sign, we introduce a term called L, where L is called inductance or coefficient of self-inductance, or just is called inductance. You can write self-inductance. I is current in the coil, and phi is the flux. Okay? Now, how do we define L? This is a part of ISC curriculum. We define L. Now, in this is a defining equation. Okay, we define like this. So, if I consider this equation, from this equation I can get L is equal to phi by I. So, how do you define L? So, self-inductance is equal to the flux when unit current flows through the coil. Okay, this is one definition. So, L is equal to phi when unit current, when unit current flows through the coil. So this is one way of defining. Now, another way to define is one more way to define it. Why it is called self-inductance? Think about it. Correct. See, the reason why it is called self-inductance is because the coil is getting the current. The coil is developing the field, the coil is having a flux, and the coil itself resists its change in flux. So this whole thing is happening within the coil itself. So it is called self-inductance. Okay. Okay. Now I also know one thing, that EMF is equal to d phi by dt. Okay. And if you want to put a minus sign, you can put a minus sign whenever you are defining it. Where minus sign signifies that the induced EMF will try to oppose the cause. Now, if I consider this over here as d of dt, what is phi? We have got the value of phi as L times of I. So this is your L times of I. That is phi equals to L times of I. So L is constant, so I can take L common, and then I can write here as dL di by dt. This is also a very, very important formula of EMF. Okay. This is a back EMF, or you can say the induced EMF. It gets developed inside the inductance, across the inductance. Okay, and this EMF is also known as sometimes called as back EMF also, because this try to oppose the current which is developed in the oppose the main current. Okay, so this is EMF is also equal to minus L di by dt. Okay, so for so good, we can define inductance from this expression also. So this expression says L is equal to E minus di by dt. Di by dt, or you can also write as L equals to EMF divided by delta I by delta T. Okay, just write it at the top. Or L is equal to EMF minus delta I by delta T. Now, how do you define your what you call your this is one, this is another. How will you define self-inductance now? You can define self-inductance as look at here. Just look at here. Self-inductance is equal to the EMF when the rate of change of current is unity. Okay, when di by dt is unity, then the self-inductance is equal to the EMF developed across the coil. When di by dt is unity. Okay. or rate of change of current is 1 ampere per second. Okay. Now something that we should know, and that is SI unit. L is equal to EMF divided by minus di by dt. This L has a SI unit. SI unit is called 1 Henry. Or just sorry, not 1 Henry, Henry. Okay, denoted as capital H. This is the SI unit of self-inductance. Now from here we define 1 Henry. How much is 1 Henry? So if I write the value of L as 1 H, 1 Henry, EMF as 1 volt, di by dt as 1 ampere per second. Then how do you define 1 Henry? 1 Henry is equal to that value when the EMF induced is 1 volt, when a current of 1 ampere per second flows through the coil. See, everything is there in the formula. 1 Henry is equal to defined it is called 1 Henry when 1 volt is developed across the coil when a current of 1 ampere per second flows through it. Then in that case the self-inductance is called 1 Henry. And also remember this second, it goes at the top. Remember you can write this as Vs, voltage second, and then per ampere. This also means Henry. This also means Henry. Okay. Okay. What is the dimensional formula of inductance? That I am leaving on you to identify and find out. Okay. Now moving ahead. If I move ahead now. Okay, moving ahead now, let us derive the expressions for expression of self-inductance in terms of its geometrical parameters. Okay. So expression of self-inductance. Expression of self-inductance in terms of its geometrical parameters. So we just saw that phi is equal to L times of I. That is one thing we know. That is a defining equation. This is my equation number 1. This is how we define phi. Also, we know that flux is also equal to, remember our phi is flux. So flux is also equal to field multiplied by area. For n number of turns, flux will be equal to field multiplied by n times of area. Okay. Now what is the field? Remember we are talking about a coil. It is nothing but in the form of a solenoid. So field is equal to mu naught times of Ni, where n is number of turns per unit length multiplied by n times of A. What is n over here? N is number of turns per unit length. Okay. Now if I consider this equation as equation 2 and equation 1. So what is the next step? Next step is compare. Compare 1 and 2. So if I compare 1 and 2, what will I get? There is a Li over here and there is a mu naught Ni. So there is a I here and there is a I here. And this phi here, phi here. So the remaining term is L. So that is equal to mu naught N, capital N multiplied by A. And this small n you can now write as number of turns per unit length multiplied by A multiplied by L, and that is equal to L equals to mu naught times of N square by L multiplied by A. This is how the self-inductance depends on geometrical parameter. Now this is just exactly you might be wondering what exactly is these geometrical parameters and all. Just remember resistance. R equals to rho L by A. Rho L by A, geometrical parameters. Capacitance C equal to epsilon naught A by D, geometrical parameters. Inductor or inductance mu naught N square L by A, geometrical parameters. So this is the formula for mutual inductance. These are all electrical formulas. Phi is equal to Li, phi is equal to Ba, and then one more formula was there. EMF is equal to L di by dt. Okay, all those things are electrical equations. This one is the this is how we manufacture a solenoid to have this much of inductance, or this much of coefficient of mutual induction. Okay. The second thing which we need to know is called the mutual inductance. Okay. What exactly is mutual inductance? In mutual inductance, how many coils we are going to use? We are going to use 2 coils. And we are going to take these 2 coils in such a way that they are coaxial. Okay. So how do we do this coaxial thing? I hope this is visible to you people. So this is called this as one coil. Okay. And this coil, say, let us say it has a total number of turns as N2, has a length of L. So I can define small n2, that is equal to number of what we call as total number of turns divided by length L, that is number of turns per unit length. Now consider this one now. The black color one. Okay. Say that in the black color you are allowing a current I to flow. You are allowing a current I to flow. So if current I is flowing, and let us say that for the black one, I have N1, I have L, and I have N1 equals to N1 by L. So these are the specifications of the black colored coil, and these are the specifications of the red colored coil. So when a current I is flowing in the black colored one, so what we will have? We will have a magnetic field, and that magnetic field will be developed in the black color one, that is equal to mu naught N1I. If you remember the formula of a solenoid, it is mu naught Ni. Okay, so mu naught N1I. Okay, so this is the current I which is flowing in the black colored one. So when the field is developed, that field will develop and that field will pass even through the, see, we are not going to find the flux through the black colored coil. That we have already done. That is a self-inductance. What we are going to do now is we are allowing the current I to flow in one coil. That coil will create a field, and that field is passing through the another coil. So that will cause a flux in the another coil. Okay, that is our whole intention. So now we are going to find the flux in the red color coil, and that is equal to the field which was developed by the black color multiplied by the area of the red color. Correct? You can do this entire thing by using the concept of 1 and 2. So I can write here as if you are not having colors, then you can write here field because of the first one multiplied by the area of the second one. You can just write it like this. There is no issue at all. Okay, but areas are same. In this case, I have taken the same area. So it is the field of the first one multiplied by the area of the second one. And now what is the field? Field is equal to mu naught times of N1 times of I multiplied by area A2. Okay, I have taken the same area over here. At the end, I will discuss it. Okay. Which area? Now that's another question. Area of cross section. This area. This area. This one. This one. This area. Okay. Okay. So you can see here that again I have got the value of flux as equal to I. So not equal to I. It is proportional to I. Okay, that is very important part which we have to discuss. Now let us define. So just take a note over here. Phi is proportional to I. In order to remove the proportionality sign, we introduce a term called M, capital M times of I. So what is M? M is called as coefficient of mutual inductance. See, it is called coefficient of mutual induction or just mutual inductance. Similarly, L is called coefficient of self-induction or just self-inductance. Here we have to add one more thing over here. Now this is the flux through only one area. Am I right? This is I am multiplying here with A2. Now how many that areas are available? So this is A2. There is another A2. There is another A2. There is another A2. So I have to just multiply here with N2. Total number of turns. So if there is one area, two area, three area, just multiply how many areas are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here, the diagram which I have drawn, I have 6 turns. So the n number of turn is 6. Okay. So I will write here as, now I will use entire color as one color only, is called N2. Because that is very important. Okay. So now if I compare, so this is my definition of mutual inductance. Just in the previous one we saw that it was defined that the flux is linked with current. Here also we got it, the flux is linked with the current. And to remove the proportionality sign, we introduce a term called mutual inductance. Now if I compare this defining equation, with this one, okay, with this one, what will I get? So this is by definition. This is by definition. Now on comparing, what will I get? I have phi is equal to mu naught n1 I a2 n2. Phi is equal to m times of I. So on comparing, what is m? M will be equal to, see, there is a I, there is a I. Exclude the I. Remaining whatever terms you have is m. So you have m is equal to mu naught n1 I into, sorry, I we don't want, mu naught n1 a2 into n2. Okay, so if you consider the same area, I have no problem. If this has an area of A2 and the black color one has an area of A1, but if you consider the A1 and A2 is same, if your if A1 is equal to A2 is equal to A, then what will I get? I will get, I don't know whether this part is visible or not. Okay. Come here. So you will get m equals to mu naught times n1 times a2, and since I am writing as a1 equal to a2 is equal to a, it's just don't think as a radius over here. No? A1 and a2 is a cross sectional area. Okay, it's a cross sectional area. I don't know how should I denote this. This will create a confusion of radius. So I will not denote like this. Just write here, mention here, area of cross section. This is just write here as area of cross section. Now come over here. So m is equal to mu naught times of n1, and then I will just write this as a only, and this I will write as n2. Okay. So this is the mutual inductance. Now here we do one more thing in order to make it look good. This is one way. This is absolutely no problem. Now you can also write this one. Now can I write n1 as capital N1 by L and A and N2, and then I will just rearrange this term as mu naught A N1 N2 by L. This is also the coefficient of mutual inductance. Okay. Similarly, we can also find the coefficient of self-inductance. That is much more easier. I should have done before in that only. So how will you find the coefficient of self-inductance? In terms of its geometrical parameter. Okay. So I'll just rub this part quickly, and then you can make a note over there. So So the whole purpose here is this. The whole idea, the physics behind this one is this: when you allow a current I to flow in one of the coil, and if you have a coaxial coil, then the second coil will experience a change in flux, due to which it will develop an induced current in the direction opposite to the main current. Okay, if it is increasing, and if it is decreasing, it will try to develop an induced current in the same direction of that of the main current in the first coil. Okay, so that's the whole idea of induced current in coil. Whenever the flux is increasing due to the current, it will try to create an induced current in the opposite, and when the flux is decreasing, the induced current will develop in the direction in the same direction if it is coaxial like this.